Thoughts racing in my mind, bouncing back and forth. Do I stay? Do I quit? These past few months have been miserable. I feel like I'm being eaten alive. I feel trapped, locked onto a path I see no escape from, a path that has been laid out for me, paved by the millions that have already walked it. But does the story I'm telling here have any significance? Is this my highest form of contribution to the world? Is this what's being asked of me? When I originally started down this path, I was filled with excitement. The sparks in my eyes told the story of a boy that was eager to learn about something greater than himself. But as time went on, the spark became harder and harder to see. Until one day, it only existed in memory. But it's still in me somewhere deep in my being, hiding behind the fear of the unknown, tucked away. And more I feel like it's my duty to find it again, to rekindle that spark and give my greatest gift to the world. Making the choice of dropping out of university was probably one of the hardest things in my life. And 20 months later, I think it's finally time to tell my story. So let's start from the beginning. So I don't know about you guys, but growing up, I always got asked the question of what do I want to be? What do I want to learn? Where do I want to head off to after I finish high school? And I never really knew how to answer that question. I always said, I don't know. I still have time, I'll figure it out later. And while that answer worked for many years, the closer and closer I got to finishing high school, the less potent that answer was with the audience. But I always hated that question so much. It's like the question itself implies that I can only be one thing. It's like, how do I choose one thing out of all the different things that interest me? Like, why would I pick one? So I always just said, I don't know, I'll figure it out later. But there came a day in high school where it was the deadline for university applications. And the answer of I don't know wasn't really effective anymore. I had to choose something. But honestly, if it was up to me, I wouldn't have even chosen, because I really did not feel a pull, or I really wasn't interested in any of the universities or any of the courses that I've seen. But my parents felt differently about it. Basically, my mom forced me to at least submit my application to 3 universities. 3 basically because in Hungary you get 3 submissions for free on this government website. But I seriously could not care less. Like I actually did not feel anything towards any of these courses or any of these subjects. But my mom forced me. So I just sat down in front of the computer, pressed Control F, and just wrote computer, and then selected 3 random courses that were somewhat related to computers, because that's something I was interested in. So I was like, if I have to select something, it might as well be something to do with computers. And I mean, honestly, I didn't even check if I was eligible or not. I mean, I'm pretty sure I wasn't eligible for most of them. So I really did not give a fuck. I just selected 3 random things out of the list of 10 or more, and then I just submitted those. And then after that happened, a few months went by, I graduated high school, and I really did not have a plan for what I was going to do in my future. I mean, I gave my submissions, but I mean, I kind of completely forgot about it because I really did not care. I only did it because my mom forced me to. I did not have a plan. I did not know where I was going to go, and I was just in a state of limbo. I was more focused on just enjoying summer and hanging out with my girlfriend at the time. I remember this one day, we were walking in the Castle District here in Budapest, and it was very nice. The sunset was amazing. There were people out everywhere. Everyone was having fun. The weather was great. It was like a perfect summer evening. And then as we were walking past these cannons that used to protect the castle, I got a text from an unknown number. And basically the text said that I was accepted to one of the courses I submitted my application to. I was honestly shocked. I mean, I was pretty confident in the fact that I wasn't even eligible, so getting a text like this was really out of the blue. But honestly, I had no idea what this course was about. I had no idea what I was accepted to, because it was just like an abbreviation. And I mean, I knew it was something computer related because I selected computer related courses. Then I remember that we went home after the date and I was sitting there on my girlfriend's couch, just really reflecting on my life and where it's going. And I quickly realized that I didn't really have a plan, or I didn't really have my next moves paved out. So the more I sat there, the more I realized that maybe accepting this acceptation was the right way to go, and maybe I should enroll in this course. So after realizing all of that, I was like, you know what? F it. Maybe this is fate telling me that this is the way I should go. So I decided to enroll and accept my acceptation. I don't even know if that sentence makes sense, but whatever. And boy, did I have zero idea about what was ahead of me. So, a few months later, it was the 7th of September, and this was officially my first day in university. Just 3 days before my birthday as well. I was literally 17 on my first day of school. I mean, I was the youngest student in the entire university out of like 20,000 students. Just to put it into context, when I decided that I would enroll, I literally couldn't sign the paper where I accepted my enrollment because I wasn't old enough, so I had to ask my mom to do it, which was kind of, yeah, I needed like a special paper, special document, so that was quite funny. And by this point, I was actually super hyped to start. I was super excited because I did some research about the course, I made some new friends in the freshman camp and the freshers week, and we were all kind of hyped together to get this new era, this new journey, or this new chapter of our life started. It's kind of funny how a few months prior, I was lost. I had no idea what I was gonna do. I did not care about uni, and now here I was, super hyped, super excited to wake up and find out new things about computers, find out new things about university, and this whole chapter of my life. I was just so hyped about all of it. I was just so excited, and I was really enjoying things, and things were going really well. The start of university was amazing, but 3 months in, this happened.
Governments throughout Europe are announcing full and partial nationwide lockdowns to combat the growing number of confirmed coronavirus cases.
We were back in lockdown again. All the momentum, the hype, and the friendships that were still being built were cut in half. Just like that, we were online now, and that made things way harder. I mean, just as things started to get interesting and we were finally out of our houses from the first lockdown, we were now confined back into our houses. And I mean, university was already quite tough. The course I enrolled in, computer engineering, was quite difficult, but having all of that online made it like 5 times harder. There were just so many things at once, and it was very hard to find people to look up to and people to look for guidance in. While on campus, I could simply go up to anyone that was above me and ask them for help, but online, it was much harder to seek out help from those above me and those that have already walked the path I'm walking. So I was pretty much all alone in trying to figure out what my next moves are, what I have to do, and how I should approach things. Because my friendships also kind of suffered because it was still too early on to have really established a deep connection, and putting everything online really did not help with that process. I mean, we still talked with a few guys, but it just wasn't the same. And I mean, not only that, but other things in my life, like not being able to go to the gym because they were closed, or my relationship not being in the best places. All of these things just kind of built up and combined into an quite unpleasant season of my life. And that excitement that I felt, and the hype that I felt, and that spark in my eyes that was there when we started on the first day of school, slowly but surely started to fade. And it's almost like I forgot what it felt like when I got started. But luckily I managed to fight through this semester, and I finished with a few hiccups here and there, and I didn't pass all my subjects. I failed one, but it was not the end of the world. I was still alive and I survived. After the first semester ended, I spent around 3 weeks just laying in my bed and watching Mr. Robot for 3 weeks straight. I literally burnt out so bad that I couldn't do anything else. I did not do anything productive at all. But then when it was time for my second semester, the excitement from the first one came back. I was super hyped to start learning again and start building this newfound knowledge that I was about to acquire. And despite things being online, I was hopeful that this semester would be different, and this semester will really show me what university is all about. But as the weeks went on, the excitement and the hype I had about my new classes quickly faded away, and I was starting to get a bit disillusioned with the entire system. I don't know if it had to do with things being online or not, but there were many times where I would ask for help from the professor or from not even the professor's assistant or like professor's helpers during the smaller classes. And when I would ask a question, often the answer was, well, you should know this. Or sometimes I would get told that my question is stupid, and it was kind of ridiculous. And there were also like bullshit exams where I would literally fail because I used a dot instead of a comma, and like the fucking automated test does not recognize that my answer is correct either way. So it's like, it was ridiculous. And there were a bunch of other small things like this as well. And the more of these small little things that added up, the more disillusioned I got, and it just was a bit frustrating. But despite all of that, I still had some hope. Okay, maybe the subjects this semester aren't the best, but at least I can start to figure out how I can make friends again. Because everyone told me that you make the best friends in university, and the best friends are made in these groups that you join. So I decided to join a few of them. And I really hoped that having these new friends that I would find would make all this unnecessary suffering with the professors not liking me or having some problem with my questions all worth it. And there was this one particular group in uni that I really wanted to join, and their name was the seniors. And basically their job or their role was to help out the new kids, the freshmen, and guide them along their first semester or two. And the reason I really wanted to join is because I felt like they were like-minded, and I really felt like they also had this desire to help others and to give back to the community. And I also really wanted to find people that I could look up to. And I mean, there's no better place to look for something like that than a group that is literally dedicated to helping freshmen and helping the new kids. Because other than like one or two people who I looked up to, there wasn't really many. I mean, there was this one guy who was a photographer. He was kind of cool. I really looked up to him, and he was very inspiring to me, both from like a creative and a business side. But other than him, I mean, I wasn't really inspired by anyone that was around me. And around me, I mean, online, we were online, but still, like the people I talked to, I wasn't really inspired by any of them. So I really felt like joining this group would be my ticket to finding people that are like me and people that are motivating and people that I can look up to. So I did join, and I did make quite a few new friends, and I connected with them more than with other people that were around me. But truth be told, I did not feel like an insane connection with any of them. They were my friends for sure, but like despite all of that, I kind of felt alone. And I mean, maybe I just didn't find the right people. Maybe I was just unlucky. Maybe I just wasn't trying hard enough. But I didn't find anyone who was really interested in the bigger things in life, like beyond school, beyond uni, beyond work, beyond yourself. And everyone told me that in university you would find people that are like-minded to you. And while they were more like-minded than, let's say, people in high school, but I still couldn't find anyone that I could really connect with. And I really didn't feel like I was a part of this community or this gang. I rolled with around 15 or so people, and they were cool. I really actually enjoyed their company. But then again, I didn't really connect on a deeper level with any of them. And what's funny is that, or what's sad, is that, as I stated before, I thought I would find people that I could look up to. And I thought that people who joined this group were all people that were morally upstanding and people that deserved to show the way for the freshmen, that deserved to be leaders. But truth be told, a lot of them were nothing close to it. I mean, I really imagined that these people were going to be role models of mine, but instead it was the polar opposite. Now again, there were obviously people that were cool, and there were obviously people that were my friends. But there was a large group of people who I did not hang out with because I avoided them as much as I could, who really did not paint a good picture of this group or the entire university itself. So let me just paint you a picture of what you have to imagine. So during the summer, just so you can imagine like what these people were like, we had these gatherings every few weeks or so. It was like one night in the countryside, and we rented out a place, and there were hundreds of us there. And I mean, like, holy fuck, like some of these guys' lifestyle is just, I don't want to say beyond saving, but it's like really not ideal. Like some of them, I genuinely could not believe that they were living the way they were living. I mean, first off, like no joke, I'd say 80% of the people in the group were like straight up alcoholics. Like not even kidding, like they were straight up coping with alcohol. I mean, jumping forward in time to the third semester, I remember that some of them these were supposed to be the role models, you know, of the university and the role models of the freshmen. And I literally saw them pouring vodka into their like water bottle at like 8 a.m. before class on the first day of school. It's like, and this is who I'm supposed to look up to. So it was bullshit. But yeah, getting back to these gatherings. So like around 80% of people were alcoholic. Most of those were obese, obviously, because they were drinking so much. Like you can't be thin while you're drinking that much because it's just so many calories. And they were drinking like red wine combined with Coke, not even like zero Coke. So it was like the full of sugar Coke. So, and they would drink like liters of it. This one gathering, someone literally told me that they had like 250 liters of like Coke and wine combined for like 80 of us or so. 250 liters, bro. It's like, what the fuck? And this was only like one night. It was insane. It was honestly insane. And so many of these people were also just addicted to other things like porn, video games, and all that. And I mean, to be fair, I was as well, but maybe not to the level they were. And that's saying something. And I mean, getting back to the alcohol stuff, like I keep jumping back and forth because it's just so in my mind that, I mean, I wasn't a big drinker at that point either, but I mean, I still drunk every now and then. But at least I had stories that were other than drinking stories. But I really couldn't find anyone that had a story to tell other than from when they were drunk. I mean, basically every story I've ever heard sounded kind of like this. Oh yeah, bro, when I drank so much, I was so drunk and I did this stupid thing and I committed this crime and oh my god, bro, I was so drunk. Okay, what's the lesson? Like, don't be like you, or like, am I supposed to find this amusing? I mean, there was also a lot of simping as well, because around 10% of the entire course was girls. And I mean, I'd say like 75% of them were kind of looked like boys, but that's beside the point. But some of these guys were so thirsty, bro. It was hard to watch. Honestly, it was hard to watch. They were fighting over girls that were objectively walking all over them and were disrespecting them openly. And it was, I don't even know what kind of word I should use for this. And there was also a surprising amount of like ego and arrogance within these people. And to be fair, I mean, I'm the one to speak, but like, at least I tried to live up to my ego and live up to myself. But this god complex that many of them had, I mean, I don't even know where it came from. Like, I would see guys like face full of acne, super overweight, straight up alcoholic, watching like fucking alien porn, playing video games for 15 hours a day, simping over women that walked over them and were objectively not even like attractive, and they would think that they're like the ideal man or something like that. And I just always found it baffling. Like, I'm not saying I was the ideal man or that I am the ideal man right now, but it was like, bro, have you looked in the mirror in the past 2 years? It's like, it was insane. But I guess like just the key concept of all of this is that I didn't have anyone that I looked up to. I wasn't motivated or inspired by any of them. I mean, sure, there were a few people here and there who said some interesting stuff and that I was actually interested in. But like, I'd say 95% of the people I interacted with were just uninspiring, or their life was going nowhere. Kind of like how mine wasn't going anywhere before I joined university. So yeah, really, if I'm trying to think back of like the people that actually inspired me to like wake up and do better in life, was this photographer dude. He was cool. I think that's the only person that was like, I actually looked up to him. And I mean, he wasn't even part of the group, so it was like, okay, cool. So yeah, I was slowly getting disillusioned with the university system itself and also the students or my fellow classmates. But I still had some hope for the fact that maybe I just didn't find the right people, or maybe I just needed to give them more time, or maybe I just needed to like improve my character as well, because that left a lot to be desired. So after the second semester during the summer, there was a freshman camp for the upcoming class, and I went to help out. There were like more than 200 of us helping out, and I was one of them. And it made me realize many interesting things. So during the week, we went down to this campsite a few days before the freshmen would arrive. And when they arrived, I was shocked because I saw their attitude towards life and their energy towards existence itself. I saw how hyped they were, how excited they were. I saw the sparks in their eyes that showed that they were so excited for this next chapter in their lives. And then I remembered that I was just like them. I also had that spark in my eyes. I also had that excitement. And then I looked in the mirror and was like, what happened to me? Where did things go wrong? And then I observed myself, and also a trend that I saw around the whole course and the whole university in general. So people would come here full of testosterone, full of energy, full of hype, excited to learn, excited to meet new people. And then over the years, most people would just get worse and worse and worse in all endeavors of the human experience. People got fatter, people got uglier, people got more depressed, people got more demotivated, they got more unhealthy. And I mean, I'm saying all of these things for myself as well. The more I observed the people that were above me as well, and were in this university for a few years more than me, the path was very obvious, and the growth or lack thereof was very sad to observe. I mean, I literally asked like a few freshmen about what their plans were. And there were so many guys who were like, yeah, I have this idea for a startup, I have this idea for a business. And it was like super inspiring to hear. And I asked the same question for people that were above me or people that were my classmates. And their answer was, plan? What plan? Pfft, let's drink. What happened? And it was honestly just so sad to see people conform into this degenerate behavior. So many people went from being super ambitious and super hyped and super energetic to being lethargic, drinking beer all day and just not doing anything meaningful. And I mean, I thought about it. It's like this behavior is not tolerated in any other aspect of life or any other layer of society. Like in no other place is it not only accepted but promoted to start drinking at 8 a.m. in the morning, to develop gyno because of your lifestyle, to become fat and to play video games all day and to jerk off to porn that has like aliens and like weird shit in it. It was just sad to see. So in no other layer of society is this behavior, drugs, alcohol, addictions, tolerated. I mean, you look down on people that are alcoholic. And I mean, if you said to someone that, oh yeah, describe this exact person, and your explanation is like, oh yeah, they drink beer all day, they start drinking vodka at around 8 a.m., they go to sleep at like 6 a.m., they do drugs, they do weed, they don't go to the gym, they're fat, they don't take care of themselves, they don't really shower. Your first thought would be like, what the fuck? Who is this person? Like, what is wrong with them? But in university, somehow it's like celebrated. It's like, oh, you're one of us. Oh yeah, ooh. It's ridiculous. And then I got to a point where I just had to ask myself, like, why am I doing all this? Why am I here? Because I didn't start out wanting to be here, but for some reason I was still hyped in the beginning. I was still looking forward to it, but like, why am I still here? What's the plan here? What's the goal? So I really wanted to have an idea about what was ahead of me. What should I expect? So I went up to a lot of people that were above me and I asked them like what the path is like, what should I expect, what should I be hyped for, and things like that. Because I'm fine with suffering, I'm fine with delaying gratification if the reward on the other side is worth it. But the more disillusioned I got with the whole thing, the more I questioned whether what's waiting for me on the other side is actually something that I'm interested in. I wanted to know what I was suffering for, what I was suffering towards. And basically the answer that I got from a lot of people that were above me were like, oh, you're in the second semester, you're in the third semester, oh, that was back when the professors were still nice. Nice? This is nice? If this is nice, I don't even want to know what comes later. Now again, caveat, there were nice professors that I actually liked, but they were the exception, not the rule. And then some students also told me about internships that they got at companies and how they were now working. And I asked them, oh, that's awesome, like, how much are you making? And they were like, oh, well, you know, I'm really lucky because I make around like 600 forints per hour. That's like $1.5 an hour. And that's considered lucky? That's considered good? What? And they were hyped about it as well. They were like, oh, yeah, you know, other places it's 400. I got 600, you know. And even then I was like, what are you talking about? Like, that's nothing. This is what? I remember some people were like, oh, you know, but you get paid in experience, and like, fuck off. $1.5 an hour? Are you kidding me? Like, you get more in the fucking Chinese sweatshop building iPhones. Are you kidding me, bro? That's what you're hyped for? But a few guys were like, you know, but in a year or so I will get paid $2,500 per hour, and that's like $5. And like, oh, that's so good, bro. What? Are you absolutely out of your mind? That's crap. That's so bad. Like, I couldn't believe that they were not only okay with this, but they were actually hyped for it. It was like, I was literally shocked. So I really had to ask myself again, is this really what I'm suffering for? Like, is this really worth all that effort, all that pain, all that sleepless nights? Is this really worth it? Really? So there came a point where I literally went home and I decided to journal about how I was feeling, because this was really not it. I really wasn't enjoying the state I was in, and I also saw the path that others were going down on. So I basically asked myself the question of, am I willing to suffer at least 3 more years, or 5 or 6 if I want to do a master's as well, to get to where the people above me are already at? Like, is that something I'm motivated by? Is that something that's inspiring for me? Am I willing to sacrifice my mental and physical health for this future? Am I willing to be surrounded with people who are alcoholic, watching porn, drinking beer all day, developing gyno, developing acne because they don't take care of themselves, having the worst diet I could possibly imagine, no one going to the gym, getting walked all over by women, and them still simping after them, just to act hyped or be hyped about making $5 an hour if I am lucky? Get fucked. Get fucked. No way. It was all bullshit. I couldn't believe it. I literally could not believe it. At this point, honestly, I knew that I had to get out because this was just not for me. This was not it. But also, when that idea formed in my head that I want to leave, I want to drop out, resistance also entered the game. Because I knew that if I decided to quit, this was no small decision. I knew that I would get backlash from everyone around me. And you can't just drop out of university and expect nothing to happen. So I knew that there would be great resistance both from myself and those that are around me. And I mean, all this programming and all this inner self-conflict started to become louder and louder. Things like, but I should stay because university is free. I'm on a government-funded scholarship. I should be lucky. Other people would kill to be in my place. You should stay. Or I also feared losing status, because anytime I would tell anyone that I studied computer engineering, they would be like, oh wow, oh you must be so smart, oh that's so awesome, this is the future, computers, oh wow. Was I willing to give that all up? Also, my parents have fucking 4 diplomas each. All of my friends are in university. All of their parents went to university. All of their parents' parents went to university. It's like, am I really willing to defy everyone around me that has ever existed, that I have ever known of, because I chose to drop out, or I chose to pursue a different path? Was I ready for that? Because also it's kind of like a mini fuck you to everyone around me, even though that's not my intention, that's not my goal. By me deciding to drop out, it's like I'm saying that I believe that there's a better path in university, and that kind of makes people reflect on their lives and makes people think about, they get all defensive and everything, which I get, because they're on that path, probably because they believe that it's the best path forward for them. But then also they're gonna judge my decision, obviously, based with their bias and their ego and their everything. So, I mean, I get it, but it's something that I knew that if I dropped out, I would be attacked by everyone around me. I would be the villain. I would be the enemy. Public enemy number 1. But I'm not sure I was ready for that. And that also made me have even more conflict within myself. And I mean, I knew that this would be the reaction of people around me. And I mean, fair enough. If you want to go to uni, go. If you want to study something, study it. I mean, who am I to say what you should do with your life? And that was never my goal. I was never like, oh yeah, I dropped out, so everyone should drop out. Like, no, that's my decision. And even though I know that people will feel obligated to chime in with their idea and their view on my decision, reflecting back to their lives, I never I didn't give a fuck about anyone else, honestly. I was trying to make this decision for myself. But I also knew that if I made this decision, I would feel even more alone than I ever felt, which was saying something. Because I would have no one to look up to. I would have no one to follow and look for guidance towards. I don't know of anyone that has ever dropped out, personally. I don't know of anyone that has pursued a path that is other than university. Like, I'm all on my own if I do this, because the university path is paved in front of me. It's been walked by millions. It's been paved, it's been renovated, it's been documented. But if I drop out, it's like I put myself in the middle of the jungle with no tools, and anyone I could possibly meet in the jungle is probably like, oh, what are you doing here? So was I ready for that? And I just kept asking myself, am I ready for this decision? Am I ready for the backlash that I'm going to get? And this fear inside of me of the unknown, and the fear inside of me of this backlash, made me postpone my decision for a few weeks at least. And after weeks went by, I was still super stressed about this decision. And these thoughts were just like bouncing back and forth in my mind nonstop. Do I stay? Do I quit? What the fuck am I gonna do if I quit? What are people gonna think? How am I gonna handle the backlash? How am I gonna stick up for myself and stick up for what my vision is and what I believe and why I decided to quit? Like, am I ready for any of this? But I really had to choose, because this was eating me up inside. And the more I prolonged this decision, the more conflict it would bring in myself and the more destructive it would be long term. But really, what this was about was whether I was ready to accept the consequences and to live with the consequences, because I knew what was coming. Honestly, I was so scared. I really did not feel ready to make a choice like this. But at one point, I had to realize that I'm going to suffer either way, but I have the power to choose my suffering. I have the power to control my fate and control my destiny and to choose my path. So if I have to suffer either way, which suffering could I live with? Which suffering could I bear? Which suffering would I gladly face with my chin up and my shoulders back? I knew what I would face if I quit. All I needed is the strength to oppose that and the strength to stick up for myself and face all of that. I mean, I knew what was going to happen. All I needed was the courage and the bravery to face it head on. All I needed was a leap of faith in myself.